Hello everyone, welcome back to Real Reds Talk Roundup. Mr. Sam McCabe is alongside me. As always, we've got a mixture of stories to get through today. Benni McCarthy speaks about Harry Kane being the #1 priority. Why did we not go and do that deal? Osimhen is now our new #1 priority, according to a lot of journalists in Turkey. We've had reports from Chris Wheeler about players being unsettled with Amarin already. They've not even given it 6 months this time. And a bit of information and little bits on Chido, some bits on a new tournament or something along the lines of the summer, which we'll definitely get into. So yeah, quite a jam-packed show today, which is nice. I always like, a kind of variety of different stories. But we're going to kick things off, Sam, with Benni McCarthy. I know you've seen the quotes yourself, but for the benefit of people currently watching, he's speaking about Harry Kane, basically the whole situation during the summer. He was saying Erik ten Hag really wanted him. Kolo Muani was also very high on that list. Victor Osimhen was also on that list, but I felt like if you're gonna spend that kind of money, 100 million plus, then you want a complete package. Harry Kane for me was the complete package, but unfortunately the club didn't see it that way. They looked at it as Rasmus Højlund in the long run would be a more prized asset than investing in both Rasmus and Harry Kane. So we stopped pursuing Kane and we ended up just getting Rasmus. But call me crazy, Sam. In hindsight, that now, for the sake of £30 million, that was the wrong decision, right?
If you look at it on the surface and we just forget about all other factors, spend an extra 30 million rather than spend the 60 on Mason Mount, then yeah, it's a stupid thing that we didn't go for it. However, the one thing we've got to remember is that Harry Kane was, do you remember the wages he was asking for?
What was it, a couple 100k? Something like that?
£400,000 a week. Now, we've had this before. You remember Alexis Sanchez? What was he on? 400 or something?
He was on more. He was on half a million a week.
Is he on half a million? And you saw that. Now, I'm not saying Harry Kane would be Alexis Sanchez. Like, I don't think he would.
No.
But for what was he? Was he 31 when he went to Bayern? Is he 32 now?
No, I think he was a little bit younger when he went to Bayern. I'm not sure. I'll double check that. I'll check it, but go on. Continue point.
So, whatever it is, 170 to 100 million, whatever it was, that we would possibly pay for him. And then on top of that, £400,000 plus a week for a 31-year-old player. Just financially, it doesn't make sense to me. And B, I don't think United were capable financially of pulling that deal off, especially on the wages. Maybe we could have fronted the transfer fee, but the wages are a big fucking factor in that, which I think a lot of people forget about. So I think if we could have negotiated the wages down, then yeah, it's probably a good deal to do. But I think he was looking for massive wages. And I think Tottenham wouldn't have charged us the same price they charged Bayern. I think we'd have had to pay more than what Bayern paid, because they paid, what, 70, 80?
Yeah.
So I think Daniel Levy would have wanted more from us. And then I think his wages would have been astronomical. And I just don't think it was doable financially for United anyway.
I'm in a weird limbo with this because I look at the Casemiro deal, which we speaking about yesterday, and it was absolutely the wrong deal to do. And there's no negotiation on that. It was stupid.
Yeah, that's a stupid
really stupid. But the one thing I will say about Kane is the difference maker he would be, and you're seeing it still now for Bayern Munich. He's just bags goals. He's guaranteed goals. He really, really is. And in this shit situation that we're in at the minute, to have someone who's the top earner doing that, it justifies it a bit more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas when you got Casemiro now, who's really on the decline, or Mason Mount, who can't get a game, you can't justify those wages because you're like, they're not worth it. Whereas Kane, I'd be a bit more like, okay, it's a bit pricey, but
Had we not made those other mistakes, like Casemiro, like Antony, like Mason Mount, like Alexis Sanchez, Cavani, Ronaldo, etc., all these different sort of people who were on massive weight, Jadon Sancho, giving that massive contract to Rashford. Had we not made these mistakes continuously through that past 10 years, there's many more names that I could add to that list, then there's a one-off where you could do those sort of things, can't you? Like, I imagine if Liverpool wanted to keep Mo Salah, they would be prepared to do the one-off, wouldn't they, and give him the money that he wants, because he is the one player that will change everything for them. I think they're prepared to lose Trent and maybe prepared to lose Van Dijk, but to lose Salah and try and replace him is something nigh on impossible. Like, it's really difficult to replicate what he offers. So in their heads, like, all right, this is the one guy we do it for. Whereas I think United just weren't in that position because we'd used to do that for everybody. So Sancho's going to be the saviour. Give him the 7. Didn't work. Mason Mount, 65 million. British player. Can't get a game. Alexis Sanchez, we've snatched him from under City's lips. No, can't. Doesn't want to be here. Harry Maguire, we've snatched him from City and we've overpaid for him. Now, obviously, Harry Maguire hasn't been as big of a disaster as some people might have you believe, but we overpaid for him. Overpaid for Wan-Bissaka. Overpaid for Sancho. Name me a player we haven't overpaid for in the past 10 years.
No, we definitely overpaid 100%. I just think the difference with Kane is he's far better than a lot of them players you just mentioned, and he's far more likely to deliver.
But our financial position has been ruined by those buys, which means we then can't do the one-off, like you said, and get the guaranteed in Kane by doing that, because all the other ones, we've done that already, and we've fucked our financial position to this point. We still owe money on transfers, our credit line's maxed out. So had we not done that, our credit line, we could have been all right, let's stick it on the credit line, because this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Let's get it. But we haven't, because we've already ruined it and we've already maxed it. So that's the issue. The wages were the stumbling block. That's why we pulled out of the deal.
But it's all good saying that if Ineos are coming out saying that financial situation, but we spent 70 million on Erasmus. So that's bullshit.
This is stupid. That's stupid as well. But that wasn't
what I'm saying. So if they're going to spend that during the window, then you can spend 100 million on Harry Kane.
Comparatively, his wages are nowhere near what Harry Kane was it? I don't know what Rasmus is on. I imagine he's on 70, 80 maybe K. Whereas Harry Kane,
it's justified because it's we've got Rasmus now. He spent 70 mil on him. And I've seen a stat before. I'll read the stat because it kind of fits into it. So, this season, Rasmus Højlund's averaged just 2.99 touches in the opposition box per 90 minutes, right? This is the lowest by any striker in the Premier League this season. He's also having 0.8 shots a game for us. Now, in comparison, Erling Haaland, 3.8 shots a game. Isaac, 2.8 shots a game. Watkins, 2.5. Even Gabriel at Arsenal has had more shots per game than Rasmus Højlund, which is crazy.
Yeah, he's not hitting the heights that we need him to. He's not. But again, I think it's unfair. This is why the Harry Kane deal, if we hadn't ruined our credit thing completely through the last 10 years, this is why it would have been important. If you're going to bring Rasmus in, you have to then bring the experienced striker with him. Yeah. So he can learn, he can take the pressure off. But like I said, decisions were made where it was rather than get just Harry Kane, we decided not to get him and just get Rasmus, which I think again is another mistake. Not that I don't like Rasmus, not that I don't think he's got potential and he can be a good player, but to have nobody experienced,
number 9,
to have nobody experienced, throw a 21-year-old who scored 9 goals in Serie A in his first big team, and then go, you're the new number 9 for United. Get on with it. That's ridiculous. That's insane. So no other team would do that. People say, Haaland was young. Yeah, but Haaland was bagging what? How many goals for Dortmund?
He was killing
ridiculous numbers. So it's a different kettle of fish. So yeah, I just think we've fucked up on all fronts before Ineos came in, and now people are putting the blame on Ineos, where it's they've got stuff to be criticised for, but this is on the Glazers, this is on Woodward, this is on Murta, this is on Arnold, this isn't on Ineos, this bit. But obviously they do have things we should be criticising them for.
It's mad, isn't it, when you think about some of the deals that we've done, even in the past 5 years under Erik ten Hag, some of them are crazy, the money that you paid. Really inflated prices, which is
wages as well.
Completely.
Inflated wages as well, which is the big one. Because a fee's a one-off thing, you pay that. Contract is 5 years, and you're paying that for 5, and you're going to have to pay that. There's no way, unless somebody comes in and buys them, you're paying that. So for a couple $100,000 per week over 5 years, that's going to cost you a hell of a lot more.
It's mad, the comparison to you go to a Bournemouth. I don't know who Bournemouth's top earner is. Let's say it's Semenyo for argument's sake, right? Yeah. What's he on? Probably 80k, 100k max or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
And has far more output than someone like an Anthony who's on double his wages.
He's hungry. He's hungry. Crazy. He wants it. He wants. No offense to Bournemouth, they're doing better than us. By far. So I'm not mentioning us in this conversation, but he wants to make the step up to a Champions League club. That's his dream. If your dream is not to win the Premier League title and win the Champions League, why are you playing in football? What are you doing? So I imagine that's his dream. He wants to go to that level. So he's hungry for it and he's working for it. Whereas players come to United and they think, I've made it. I'm on a massive bag. I could come here, earn a great money. There's no real pressure to do anything. Whereas people come to Bournemouth and it's like, no, you have to prove something. You have to work to get where you need to go. And that's what they're doing. They don't do it at United.
I think you have to balance the argument with Rasmus as well. Like, he hasn't been good enough, and I think that's clear for everyone to see. But also, you look at the underlying numbers for the squad as a whole: 49 big chances created, 43 big chances missed in total. I mean, all three of our attackers at the moment, Rasmus, Xerxes, and Garnacho, 8 goals between them. I think it is. I think Mbermo alone has probably scored more than that. So,
but yeah, it was evident against Spurs. Like, there was 3 chances Garnacho should have buried. There was a Xerxes header. Like, it was evident all over the pitch. Like, this was a shit Spurs team. They were fucking terrible. But we just couldn't put a goal in the back of the net. That's what costs you games. If you don't score, you lose games. That's it.
Right, let's go to the comments then. Please do smash the like of the video for us if you can. Charlie's in the chat saying, why would Benny come out with this news now when we all know it's not true? We did not have the cash for Kane, and Levi would not sell him to United. We know the story. Benny's lying now.
I think he means Levy, not Levi.
Oh, am I saying Levy? No, Levy. Daniel Levy.
Yeah, you said Levi.
Oh, did I say Levi? Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Well, you know what we mean in it anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, the other side of it, maybe they wouldn't have sold Kane to us in the first place because they didn't want him to go, or maybe they would have put a bit of a premium on it. That part is true, I agree with. But the cash side of it, I don't know, because if they're spending that on Rasmus, I'm sure they would, and they're spending that money on Anthony and these kind of guys. I'm not having it. They didn't have the cash, just for me personally. Mark Palmer saying players need to start turning up rather than turning on managers. I love that. What a quote that is. Rayonate is saying the modern player goes until the late 30s. We had a chance to take a Prem Golden Boot winner at the age of 29. Massive fumble from United. Are any of those mistakes in the past have anywhere near established Prem pedigree of Kane in a worse team? I get what you're saying, but Kane would easily give you 20 goals a season. You want a chance to reply to that, Sam? Or?
I mean, I'm not like people are arguing against me like I don't want Kane or that that's not the case. Like we were talking about it in the summer, weren't we? Like we were going like striker choices. I was like, number 1 is Kane. Yeah. That's who I go for. Prem proven, scoring goals at the highest level, regularly scores goals every season, 25, 30 goals every fucking season. Like, go get him, do what needs to be done. But because we've ruined our credit line and our financial situation for the last 10 years, buying the players that you've just mentioned, we didn't have the capital to get the fee and the wages done at the same time. Like, you can't do it together because we fucked ourselves completely. Had we not ran ourselves into the ground, or let's just say the Glazers not ran us into the ground over the last 10 years, we would have had the flexibility in the credit line to go, all right, let's splurge on this player because he's a guaranteed 25, 30 goal player. You would have had that sort of stretch to do it, but we didn't. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't have got him. I don't want him. It's saying it wasn't doable financially because we fucked up. The Glazers have fucked us into the ground. That's why.
Well, speaking about striker and finances, apparently Manchester United sent scouts to watch Victor Osimhen at Galatasaray over the weekend as he scored twice in their 2-1 win over Rizespor. That's according to TalkSport. There was also a report from Al Nake, I think he's a Turkish journalist, covered clubs like Galatasaray and a couple of others, but I think he's well known there, primarily writes for, I can't pronounce it, but Hurriyet Outlet, if that is how you say it, and he's done stories on Lucas Torreira when he moved to Galatasaray and Dries Mertens, and he's suggesting that Manchester United reached an agreement with Napoli in January to sign Victor Osimhen, but the player said, I promised to stay at Galatasaray until the summer. After I finish the season is when they can start talking about things like that. But it does seem like there's a lot of noise around Osimhen at the minute, doesn't there?
Yeah. Well, it's a big question mark, isn't it? Because obviously he's had a major falling out with Napoli's head thing. And if you look at the sort of history of it, quite rightly so, when they're posting racist things about him on their own social media, why the fuck would you stay at a club when that's going on? So he's gone to Galatasaray on loan. I doubt Galatasaray have the money to pay whatever it is Napoli want. What's it, 75 million euros? I think I've seen bandied about.
Clause, isn't it? So
yeah. I don't think Galatasaray have that money. They seem to go for free agents, cheaper deals.
They seem to pay a lot of wages, but they're not big fees.
But they don't put a lot up front, do they? Yeah. So That's the way. So I don't see them doing that. So then there's a big question mark because he's not going to go back to Napoli. So he's going to have to go somewhere. So that's it. So obviously journalists go, United need a striker. Let's link him. Chelsea have been linked because Chelsea are linked with every single player because that's what they do. So I imagine that's what's going on there. Is there any truth in this guy's article? I don't know. I think he's a good player, a really good player. But again, how many times Italian Serie A players come into the league? Doesn't work, does it? Really doesn't work. So I have doubts, but we need a striker and the options are really limited.
The difference I'll say with Osman is he does look more of a physical specimen than a lot of the players that have come over from Serie A. He's a lot quicker, a lot more powerful. And it seems like everything I'm reading, like Amarin's kind of earmarking is he's the guy to bring in, which would surprise me because I thought Gyökeres was nailed on. But then you see all the stuff coming out from Lorry, was it, who's reporting that, you know, he wants to go to a Champions League club and all these kind of things. I'm like, so that's why my head's completely fucked because it's the same thing. So, and obviously, Osman's wages are going to be well more, I'd imagine, right? Because obviously the caliber and what he's done in Europe. So that's why it confuses me. But I do really like him as a player. I think any one of them, right now, beggars can't be choosy, can they, in this point. If we signed Osman, I promise you, I'd be unbelievably happy with that. I think we need that caliber. Anything below that, should we even bother at this point bringing another young striker? I don't think it's worth it.
We've got two young strikers. We've got Højlund and we've got Xerxes, who's only 23, by the way. So, like, we don't need, and we've got Chido-Obi now as well, who's making his way in. We don't need another young striker. Like, that's just not what we need. We need an experienced goal threat who's going to get you 15, 20 goals guaranteed every single season. That's what you need. And there's not that many. Like, there's Osman, there's Gyökeres. Can you think of any more?
You can't have anything below that. You kind of
Then you're looking at like the list I came up with. The guy from RB Leipzig,
Sesko.
I forget his name. Yeah, Sesko, who's a young striker. He's obviously
Openda. You run about as well, aren't you?
Openda as well. Openda. So they're very good, score goals, but again, young strikers. Like, there's a risk there. So yeah, I just think it's tricky, man. It's really tricky because everyone's looking for a striker. Arsenal looking for a striker. We're looking for a striker. Like, it's difficult, man.
And one would argue that when we go into the summer, if you're a player right now in Europe, I know Manchester United are still Manchester United, but who are you more likely to join? Two of the clubs that are in Champions League football, or a team that's, you know, trying to bounce back from the worst season ever? It's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, you go to Arsenal, they're competing for a title, only in the fact that they're second in the league. But do you want to compete for a title and be in the Champions League, or do you want to risk finishing 14th, 15th, 16th in the league and be in the Europa or Europa Conference? Like,
I mean, Amir Fikri, let's just put there, Liam Delap. I'm not on that. I think he's a talented striker. I think he's very good, but I think he would face similar issues, maybe certain teething issues there. I don't think he would come in with that. We need someone with pedigree in it.
His first professional season this season, like, for Ipswich, he was previously at City's academy. So you're gonna 70, 80 million for a guy who's played his first season? Like, I don't think it's the right idea. Like, I think he's a good player, but I think that's the wrong idea.
It's about assembling a squad, though, right? And whilst we're on the topics of squads and finding that balance, we had a story reported earlier today that Chris Wheeler, he put out that basically some United players are beginning to lose faith in Ruben Amorim's system. The disaffected group believe that even when United win, it's largely down to individual moments or quality or good fortune rather than a tactical kind of triumph. Now, someone put something out before. There's a report almost a day 2 years ago from the Athletic that there's a growing feeling that the camp are upset with Erik ten Hag and they're beginning to lose faith. And you've seen the same thing with Ragnick. You saw the same thing with Ole. It really is a rinse and repeat story at the moment. So it's about time, I think, Sam, that it's Amorim is losing faith in these players and it's time for them to go the opposite way around.
No, it happened with the Jose. Remember, he was saying, it's a toxic environment. Players like Pogba and stuff like that are wanting the manager out. But it's the same shit every fucking time. It's the same fucking thing. It's like, players don't want to work hard. They don't want to put the graft in. They don't like the formation. They don't like the tactics. Let's go back to how we had it before and let's play that way. And people will be saying, "Oh, Amrin needs to change his tactics." Well, you remember when Ten Hag did that? How well did that go?
Yeah.
That go well when we
You
played a
change
back
your
four.
principles now, you kill yourself in it, basically. You might as well tie your own rope.
Ollie did the same thing. People were having a go at Ollie. So, it's counter-attack football. Like, we don't want possession. So he tried to play a more possession-based thing. And we got dicked, like, repeatedly every week by Watford, of all fucking teams. Watford beat the shit out of us. Like, so, but when are people going to wake up and realize this is the players? This is the mentality of a lot. I'm not going to say all the players, but a bunch of them. Like, this is the mentality they have. And until we disassemble this squad fully, like, these stories are going to keep cropping up. Like, we've got players in there, and no offense to Mason Mount, Luke Shaw, they're good lads. I've met them. They're really nice, but they shouldn't be at the club.
No.
They're not reliable. Should be here. Get rid.
Funny thing is, when we talk about profile of players, though, they would actually suit it if they could stay fit.
But you can't rely upon. Can't be relied upon. So it's like, you got to go. Casemiro, he's on 350k a week. You just touched on it. Can't be here. You can't be doing that. He doesn't play. He's 350k a week and he's on the bench every week.
I watched I don't know if you watched a similar video to me. There was analysis on the Tottenham game, like a really deep dive. I watched a couple of videos on it just to kind of understand like where we're going wrong and why this setup isn't currently working at the minute. And players like you just mentioned, like Casemiro, are a big part of that. Like at times where they need to get back, they're kind of just walking. The body language all over the place. They're not chasing. There's large gaps everywhere. You need a more athletic profile in there, like midfielders who can dictate more, who've got a bit more of a physical presence. We are absolutely crying out for that. And not only that, with the wing backs as well. When we're trying to be proactive, Dalot's dropping back, and then Kulusevski and Son are pushing them back, and then that creates even more of a gap because then you got a back five, and the two in the middle's like got this island to defend. It's a nightmare, isn't it? Profile wise.
Dalot, like I think Amarin mentioned when he was at Sporting, his whole thing was risk taking. Like he wants his players to take risks, go forward, push, take that chance. Because that's how you saw that against City. They were getting battered like first half. Second half, they just started taking risks. One touch, like moving it about, and ended up like absolutely destroying City on the second half just quickly. And you see Dalot, he's predictable. He gets the ball, he runs up, and then he turns inside and he plays the ball backwards.
Do you think they're broken? Like mentally a little bit from because obviously the different. I'm not giving them an out here or anything, but I'm saying like from the other managers. Right, we've got a new style now. We've got a new coach. We've got a new thing there. Oh, now a new one, and now a new one again. And it's kind of like they're reverting to type each time, aren't they?
Yeah. They're going back into the comfort zone, aren't they? It's like, oh, this is too hard. Oh, I've got to work too much. Oh, I'm not familiar with this. It's not comfortable. So I'll just do what's safe so I can hide in the team. And that's what Dalot's doing. He's getting the ball and he's going, I'll just pass it backwards. Like, then I'm not the one thing. Bruno's the only player in the team who takes risks and he gets pelters for it. Yeah. Because sometimes it doesn't come off and sometimes he does it at the wrong time, which I understand that is an issue, but he's the only one who takes risks with passes. He's the only one. Everybody else plays it stupid. Oh yeah, he was terrible. Don't get wrong, he was terrible, but he's the only one who gets the ball and thinks forward first. Everybody other play, like if you watch us play when we're building up, it's literally like pass goes forward from one of the centre backs to the full backs, and then the next pass is immediately sideways or backwards. And then we try it again. It goes up to like Kobe Mainoo or it goes up to Ugarte. And they try to play it out wide to the fullbacks. And then the fullbacks goes backwards like Mazraoui, or they go back to the centre backs. There's no like urgency or anything going forward. It's just really shit because the players, like you said, don't have the profile, don't have the mentality to play the way Amrin wants. And until he gets the players, this is what's going to be it. This is what's going to be like.
I really struggle with this because I try explaining this, and by any means, I am not no tactical expert or anything. But
neither of us are.
Neither of us are, but we're trying our best to understand what's actually going on, and it's quite hard when you have such a mixture of problems. But like my mates, for example, who just they'll watch it once a weekend and they'll just give their thoughts after the game, and they'll be like, "Get the manager needs to go," and blah blah blah. And I'm trying to explain, it's like that won't solve anything right now. You bring a manager now, it won't do anything. You might get a bit of an upturn. It's like if you would have kept Rudin, for example, as the interim just at the end of the season. It's just wasting the time now. Yes, it's shit at the minute, but we're getting rid of the shit at the minute. So by the time we get to the summer, it should be better. You should have more time on your side. You know what I mean? Which is why they wanted to get him in right now.
That's what Ten Hag should have done. You remember when we got battered Brighton and Brentford won it over the first 2 games. And he was like, can't play this way. And he switched back.
Yeah.
And he had some measurement of success. Like got second in the table, got a Carabao Cup. So it's like, all right. And then he tried to do it again, didn't he, the following season? And then he tried to stick by his guns that whole way through that season. He's like, no, this is the way we're going to play. And it just wasn't working. But he'd already ruined his credibility because in the first season, he switched it. So people were like, no, you switched it up and stuff like that. And then he did it again towards the end of the season as well, didn't he? He put it in and he was like, no, this is what we're doing. Like he switched it. Was it Arsenal game and the last 4 games this season and against City as well? And it's just, you ruin your credibility.
Then if a manager changes it, it's like he's not believing in himself then. Yeah. So then how are you players supposed to believe in something if you don't believe in an idea and a philosophy? That's bollocks to me. That I think he should absolutely stick to his guns. I mean, it's going to get tougher. I guarantee we get beat by Everton, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
When we play them. Because their profile, physicality, how organised they are, they give Liverpool a really good game at Goodison. If you think we're going to go there and get a result, which I'm not saying people who are watching right now do, are under any illusion, that is going to be a tough game. Ipswich is going to be a tough. Every game is literally like we need 3 points because I don't see where it's coming from at the minute. I really don't.
No, like David Moyes has gotten them. He's turned them around. If you look at the way they were under Sean Dyche, and it was just turgid football every week. Like in fact, they've got belief now. Like the players are playing well. It's a shame they've lost Ndai because he was their sort of like talisman. Like he's a top player. But their players are showing up now. Like players are like Decore and stuff like that. They're showing up and they're playing under Moyes and stuff like that. So it's just like you want United to go to Goodison of all places and get a result. It's not happening.
I'll actually try to get Alex on for that because I think he'll give us a proper breakdown of Moyes.
Oh yeah,
in a minute. I messaged him the other day because he's just recently had a kid.
Yeah,
and he put my 2 Valentines, so obviously his missus and his kid, and then I put a surprise. David Moyes wasn't on the carousel. He was like, I was half tempted to put him on there.
Yeah.
He must be buzzing to what they're doing at the minute.
And
I mean we've always had a bit of an affinity with Everton anyway, haven't we? I think we've both said that. I quite like the club.
I do hate him for the money they were trying to charge us for Branthwaite. Like that
of course,
irritating.
I mean, that might still be an ongoing story when we get to the summer as well. Who knows? But you could certainly say they're not going to get relegated now. So, the thing is about that game though, Tottenham. Like, you look at Amrin, who's he got to turn to? You look at the subs bench. Every one of them, they're all kids, bar Lindelof, who can make an impact. Chido obviously got a couple of minutes. There was people talking about that, saying it was a bit disrespectful. What are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was disrespectful. He deserved more minutes because he didn't get a touch of the ball, did he? As far as I could see. Like, if you're gonna bring a kid on, like to make an impact, give him 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Yeah. Like, don't give him 3. It's just fucking pointless. Yeah. Like, Fergie used to do that with 3 minutes to waste time, like when you were winning, but if we need a goal, like give him 10 minutes at least. Like I don't see. We were 1-0 down, and you bring him on for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. What is the worst thing he could do?
Yeah, it's true.
Not score like all our other strikers and not scoring. Like I don't understand. So yeah, I would have given him a bit longer. But Lindelof looked like a supply teacher on a school trip, didn't he? He's just surrounded by a bunch of kids, and they're all probably talking about stuff he doesn't understand.
Mr. Lindelof,
he's probably just sat there going, "What are they talking about? I don't understand any of this."
Well, he's got. I know he's had his injury problems as well, but he's got next to no fucking minutes at all, has he? Lindelof. Nope. We're not seeing him at all. His
contract's up in the summer. Isn't it? He's gone.
Which will help towards the summer. But before we get into the summer, because there's a couple of things in there, I do want to touch on Chido just very quickly. There's Nathan Salt, I think it's from the Daily Mail. Reported a couple of things. Like the first impressions of Chido, very humble, willing to work. Took his chance he'll take his chance when he's called upon. He was saying the move wasn't about money; it was about opportunity. That he felt like he could break into Manchester United's first team quicker, which has come to fruition in reality because. Maybe not, because obviously Arsenal are struggling at the minute with the striker, but I don't think Arteta would have pushed him. For me personally, I don't think he would have done.
Had the injuries not happened, he's not getting in the Arsenal team, is he? Like he's not. So
I don't think so. Maybe he was right on that. And then there was some stuff about Xerxes and Dog, who in particular apparently been acting like brothers to him, integrating into the squad. How long in your opinion, do you think before we see him actually in action for United?
Amrin said, didn't he, after the match, after the Spurs game, said they will get time, they will get minutes. Yeah. The young kids. He said, we've got Europa League, he starts back up in March. obviously got the FA Cup, a couple of rounds left of that, and then we've got how many games? Like 13 games left, 14 games left, or something like that.
Unfortunately.
Which is essentially just a dead league. Like we've got nothing to play for, so it's like you might as well put the kids in there and then save your strongest team for the cups because that's not where they're going to win something. So he said they will get minutes. So I think Chido is probably the closest one to starting because obviously he was the one they brought off the bench. We are struggling with goals, and that's what he offers. Obviously, it was in the 18 level, but he is bagging them like every single week. So the one problem position that we do, I mean, we've got multiple problem positions, but the biggest thing in a minute is that we aren't scoring goals. So if you can bring somebody on who could get you a few goals and get a couple of wins over the line, then I think he's probably the closest one. I think Seki Kori's a bit far away. He's just come over from Mali. He is a unit. He's a big lad, but I think he's still settling. I think it'll be a bit unfair to chuck him in at this point unless we are absolutely desperate and we lose all our midfielders. So I would like to see him, but I think it's too early for him. There's been a lot of talk around Jack Morehouse. Is it Jack Morehouse? What's his first name?
I think it's. I know it's Morehouse. I don't know his first name, but I know.
There's been a lot of talk. Apparently, he's the one that looks right a bit like Amrin picked him out of everybody, and he was the one that he looked at and was like, "This guy's got something." So maybe we see him in the midfield.
Yeah.
I love Shea
as
Lacey.
well, obviously, unfortunately, who's got an injury, hasn't he?
I love Shea Lacey, but I think he's just come back from injury.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll see him. Harry Armas was on the bench, which I was glad to see, but I think unless Dorgu goes down with a broken leg, I don't see him getting any minutes, really.
Yeah. I think Armas, a little bit suspicious defensively and also doesn't have the physical profile of a Dorgu that you need in that in that wing-back area. But it's not like Amorim won't use the academy. If you look at Sporting, a lot of big players in Europe now came through at Sporting, and he promoted him and made them the players that he was. So he will tap into it. It's just got to be the right circumstance and environment to bring him into. And I think he would rather it more be planned and proactive to bring him in than just to, like an emergency. Like, because obviously if you're winning 3-0, let's say you're in a cup, you're beating, I don't know, fucking Blackburn 3-0 in the cup, and you're like, right, Chido, confidence, go get a couple of goals. Let's see how you do.
It's 20 minutes. Let's see what you've got. But you don't want to chuck it. You're losing 1-0 to Spurs, and you chuck on Chido, and you'd be like, "Yeah, can you save the game for us, mate?"
Yeah, please,
17 years old. Like,
we need someone. Like, it's a lot of pressure in it, to be fair. Rating 8 saying Amrin will want Gyökeres and we'll give him Osman as it'll be such an easy deal to do at a cheaper cost than 1-2 seasons ago. Pat May says, how many times have we said if we put our chances away, we would have won that game? Too many times, Pat.
Every week. Every week.
I'd offload one of the two strikers this summer. Which one, God knows. But if I had to choose tomorrow, it'd be Rasmus. It's interesting on the narrative changing now on Xerxes and Rasmus, isn't it?
All these people who abused Xerxes in that game and were giving him shit. The guys like your mate who called him, was it Jonathan Walters?
Jonathan Walters, from Stoke. He actually messaged me the other day saying he looks a good player, that Xerxes, doesn't he?
Changed your mind now, haven't you? Yeah. I think he deserves an apology for all those people who were giving him shit because obviously they've changed.
Still stuff to work on, I think, with Xerxes.
Yeah, no play is perfect, and it's his first season, so give him time, man. Give him time.
Rainate's got a question saying, lads, what would the now increasing possibility of no Europe next season do for our summer? I don't know if you're on about financially, but yeah, it's a massive hit on us in terms of what we want to do. I think in the summer, for me personally, I think you're going to see more Dorgu type signings that are efficient, the kind of 20 to 40 million pound mark that are a profile for that position. Maybe sprinkled with a little bit of maybe a one Osman, for example, but I don't think they're going to go out and spend 200 million. I would be hugely surprised, but I think that's where the real work's going to be done in the summer.
Yeah. If you obviously we're not going to be, unless we win the Europa League, we're not being Europe next season, because we're not going to finish above, at this point, it looks like we're not going to finish above 13th, but we're not going to be in Europe next season. So unless we win the Europa League, which qualifies us for the Champions League, I think that gains you about 30 to 40 million. I think if you qualify for the Champions League, which obviously in our position is a decent chunk of change. No. So yeah, just think about that. If you qualify for the Champions League, you get an extra 30, 40 million. and B, it attracts players because you're in the Champions League, so you're able to get better caliber of players. So
well, we just talked about Gyökeres. Sorry to interrupt you there. We were talking about Gyökeres, weren't we? Like going to the Champions League. So
exactly. So if you don't get that, then obviously you lose out financially, and then you lose out on those players for that caliber. I think you qualify. You qualify for the conference if you win the FA Cup.
I don't know. I don't know how it works. I feel like they change it every year. You know, I thought the FA Cup was something to do with Europa or something.
Is it Europa? But
we won the FA Cup, didn't
we? We knocked Chelsea down, didn't we, to the conference?
Yeah, so we went into the Europa League.
Right, so yeah, if we won the FA Cup, then we would get into Europa League, which
so 2 avenues.
I suppose is something in it. Like, I don't think you get 30, 40 million.
What if we get Spurs in the final? Beat us 3 times this year, Spurs.
Jesus Christ.
Imagine, you get all the way to the final, and it's like, you've got Spurs again. And you've already been beaten 1-0, 4-3, and 3-0 by this team.
Just
Ahmad.
Place the bet.
You know,
place the bet for us to lose at that point, wouldn't you? You just like, it's fucking not happening, is it?
Which is crazy to say, but I do think we're all right in a minute. We've got through the league stage, and you know that's fine. And I think we play is it Sociedad or Alkmaar, is it?
Yes.
Next, Sociedad or
Please
Alkmaar.
Please give us Alkmaar. I don't want Sociedad.
I'm not even
really.
That's what I mean.
I don't want Sociedad.
You play Sociedad, who are like, you know, possession-based team, Spanish players. They always make it tricky. And they'll just kill us with that space. I genuinely think they will.
We've got really bad history with Sociedad as well. Every game we play against them, we're shit, and they win like 1-0. It's fucking awful every time. So yeah, please not them.
Yeah, so a lot of things on the agenda this summer. It's going to be interesting to see how Ineos and United handle it. The last story I want to discuss kind of relates to this, and this is coming out from The Athletic. Basically, Manchester United, Bournemouth, West Ham and Everton are in advanced talks to participate in the Premier League's Summer Series event in the United States at the end of July. The anticipated involvement in the Summer Series is in addition to their post-trip to Malaysia and Hong Kong, which they hope will earn them $7.9 million in revenue. But my first thought is instantly reading that, Sam, was what about the fucking players, man? You know, you got a World Cup next summer as well. You've got this tour that they're going to do, plus the Premier League, you know, series of event. You know, they might, God knows how far they go. Let's say in the FA Cup, let's say you get to the final again. What's that, mid-June? Europa final as well. Like, what the fuck? Like, you're killing the players here, aren't you? Killing them.
Yeah, do you remember that season under Ten Hag where we had, like, what was it? 35 separate injuries or something? Was it?
Well,
insane?
it was 60 plus illnesses, absences, and injuries, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Season.
So, and now you're seeing players like this season dropping like flies. Like Rodgers done his ACL,
more than ever.
Done his ACL. Like people are just dropping. That's what's going to happen next year. This is going to be the same thing. Players are playing more and more. So playing. If you go to the finals of competitions, you look at about 40 odd games in a season, and now we're doing a post-season tour. So right after they've played an absolute packed season, they're going straight off to Malaysia and where is it, Hong Kong? Did they say? To play games unnecessarily. It's just a money-making exercise, and then they get maybe a week, 2 weeks off before they have to go on this Premier League series. Like we're just gonna get players who just are absolute dead, and we're just gonna see injury after injury after injury after injury. Like, it's just stupid. It's so fucking stupid. And it's just about making money at the end of the day. That's all it's for. Like, because it's not for fans. Like, they'll say, oh, it's the foreign fans and stuff. No, because when they were in Thailand, do you know how much a ticket was if you wanted to, like, see it in Thailand? It's like 200 quid to go to that Thailand. No, when we won that light up trophy.
Bangkok Cup, was it? Something.
Bangkok Cup, that's the one.
Yeah.
It was 200 quid. And now, if you're a regular person in Thailand, you can't afford that. You can't afford that. Like they're on less money than we're on over here. We struggle to afford tickets. Like they're on less thing. So it's only the elites and people who are rich who can afford to go. So it's going to be the same in Hong Kong and Malaysia. So the real fans aren't going to get to go see it. Yeah. So it's just a money making exercise. So it's negative all the way. Apart from the people who are chalking the money in.
It seems like they are trying their best to find any possible revenue income they can.
Yes.
In it. Do you remember when like Barcelona were going through their stage when they was like doing weddings at the new camp and shit like that?
Oh yeah. Could you play five-a-side there as well?
Yeah,
I'm sure
five-a-side at the new camp. They was doing
Yeah.
weddings. They was doing loads of shit to try bring the. I think would they sell 22% of the TV rights for the next 15 years or something.
Yeah. They sold part of their Barcelona studios as well, like where they created a documentary. They sold part of that as well.
I think we might get to that point if Ineos continue genuinely where it's going at the minute.
It's just I'm waiting for it. Do you remember back in the day when United would release like three or four like different home kits in the same year? Like we change the home kit up just to make a bit of money. I can see that happening again. Like just going, oh, here's our new home kit halfway through the season, and it's going to cost you 120 quid.
Yep,
I can see that happening as well.
Yeah, which would be all right if you're a Premier League winning team and you're competing in Europe. That'd be fine. You know, people probably won't moan, but we couldn't be further away from that. If possible at the moment. Right, last few comments just for a head up. I'll leave you guys with this question because I do think that is a decent question. Which one's easier to win right now, the FA Cup or the Europa League? Get your comments in, whether you watch this live or watch this later on. James just joining us. Evening all. Sorry I'm late. Unacceptable, James. To be honest. Unacceptable.
20 press-ups right now.
20 press-ups, film it, and send it to Real Red Talk, and we'll put it on our stories. Not a problem. Always nice to have you. Ineos will definitely be pushing for this tour. They'll take any penny they can. Ineos bought a club they can't afford and want us to like it. Jokers. Pat saying, we just lost 3 players injured in training. Forget Hong Kong. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's true. But hopefully, I mean, we had news that Yoro and who was the other one who was ill? There's 2 players. Ericsson will be available for Everton, if that's anything. And Ugarte and Collier's injuries are not thought to be serious. So praying that they are going to be available. And that game's on Saturday, so we've not got a midweek game, so it should be okay.
Early kick-off as well, isn't it, on Saturday?
Yeah, half 12, Goodison Park, which...
Never back that. Don't back that.
So yeah, we'll have the preview for that on Thursday. If you guys want to come in and tune in for that. Apart from that, stay locked in. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss it when me and Sam go live, because it does vary the times due to work and stuff like that. So sometimes
our lives,
it's just
our
chaos,
lives,
isn't it?
chaos at the minute, especially with the other shit that's going on. So we appreciate the time changes. Randomly. Sometimes it's pre-record, sometimes it's a live, but the fact that you guys are checking it out and you're liking it and stuff, that's all that matters really, so appreciate it.
Absolutely. Please do subscribe if you're new to the channel. Welcome if you are new. Leave a like on the video, and me and Sam will see you guys in the next one, people.